Hello, Joel.
Hey there, Andrew.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in a mood. I'm in the old carnival mood. I'm hoping you're gonna pick that sound up and play some cumbia or something so I can shake my tooth.
You don't want to be mellow today?
I don't want you to lullaby me to sleep.
Episode 28 of the Medellin podcast. I am Andrew Messia. I'm joined by Joel and Chris today.
We can't pronounce his last name, so we're gonna let him do that later on in this episode.
I'm wearing my little shorts today.
Little short kinis, little chores as they say here.
My carnival shirt.
Yeah, weird carnival attire. I've got my hat on, blocking the sun. Like the baldness is being blocked. Chris has got that cigar in his mouth, but he can't light that up here because we're indoors. And everything we do is for the kids and the environment. Taught him everything he knows.
Wow, incredible.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 28 of the Medellin podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're looking at two ugly dudes and a guy in the middle. A fat guy in the middle.
He said he's fat. We didn't say he's fat.
Yeah, he's like, I can't take off my
We're
shirt.
not here
I'm
to
fat.
fat shame him.
Thank you for not fat
We're here to
shaming
do a
me.
whole lot of other shaming, but not fat shaming. We
And-
don't do that on this show.
As you can tell, we're wearing some crazy ass clothes. I'm wearing my little Daisy Dukes
Your number, your frock.
and
Yeah.
and my some crazy ass shirt.
Yeah.
Joel's wearing. He's looking like he's going to Hawaii.
Yeah, even though I'm not
Definitely.
going to Hawaii. By the way, for those who are listening in, yeah, we're dressed quite, I'd say flamboyantly. Not Chris though. He looked like he just rolled out of bed. We show up here like we meant to go on. We're going to Carnaval de Barranquilla tomorrow, so we've got our outfits on. Hence the big sun hat and everything. And Chris has got his cigar in hand. And if you don't tune in on YouTube one time, you should probably, if you're listening on Spotify, check out one of the YouTube episodes. Why? Because we're beginning to integrate a lot more video footage into our episodes. So this episode we'll be talking about with Chris, and hopefully you'll see a bit of his life in images and video and what's not. And we plan to pack it even more. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. A lot of people say like, oh, we didn't even know that episode was out with that person. If you don't want to miss this episode on any of our channels, please hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, we're trying to get more than 3 subscribers.
Yeah. My mom, Andrew's mom, and
and Franco.
Andrew, and Franco, who's sitting in the audience, is getting tired. They need some more female.
My mom will do it, I promise you.
Shout out to all the guys who are on deployment that have been commenting and saying that they are loving the
Oh
episodes.
hell yeah! Shout out to you guys out there in the Army or the
forces.
Armed Forces.
The DOD.
Yeah, doing your thing out there. Thank you guys for your service and thank you for listening. We're happy that you guys like it and that I never thought that anybody would want to hear me talk.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Let alone all the way out in freaking Iraq or wherever they're deployed.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's pretty fucking awesome,
that's
right?
awesome.
Yeah, we got one guy in particular. I wish if I had my phone up right now. Well, actually, 2 or 3 of you guys that you know who you are if you're listening to this because you say you you binge listen. And if you're listening to this, man, thanks for this being your entertainment while deployed. That's very friggin' flat.
Oh, yeah,
There's so
and-
many other options.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
when you guys come down to Medellin, we'll go play some Tejo. You guys hit us up. We'll go hit the town like real American heroes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though I'm Canadian. Anyway, so let's kick this off. We've got 2
Yeah.
real American heroes sitting
Yeah,
here and
so-
1 Canadian hero.
Yeah, today we have our guest is Chris, and he's a special guest because he's one of our longtime friends. We've known Chris for how long, Chris?
Almost 8 years now.
8 years. He's an entrepreneur. He's a business owner. He's had a couple different businesses we're going to talk about.
He's an athlete.
He's an athlete, a professional athlete in
professional
Colombia.
I'm a fat
lead.
fat lead.
See, some motherfucker's gonna tune on here and say that we shaming people and shit. He
It's
called
all me.
himself.
It's all me.
He called his own self a fat
He
lead.
ordered
I
a
didn't even know-
pizza before we started.
Did he?
Yeah.
I did. I
That's
messaged.
like the fat lead. What's that? Like the meal prep? Or
Yeah,
the
that's
meal. What do you call that? Like
Gotta carb
damn.
up.
Yeah.
Carb up.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Cool.
So I'm excited to ask you about various things, your life here and your work and your entertainment that you do here?
Yeah, let's. So here's the thing. Before he's not going to introduce himself, I'm going to introduce him. Me and Andrew are going to introduce him. We've known him for nearly 8 years now. Not in addition to just being a fat lead, he's a real stand-up guy. A while ago, I think Chris has always been in some sort of spotlight. From back when he had a certain shop called the Flip Flop Sandwich Shop, which we'll get into and talk about more about that. And he was very active in commenting in social media and stuff for a while now. And people went to you a lot for travel advice to Medellin, which we'll get into. They sat at your restaurant and whatever else. And I actually can't, and I'll ask you in a sec if you remember how you met me and Andrew. I just know that we used to eat at your restaurant. And here we are today, cigar in hand. And now you're Chris is the founder and the person that runs Tejo in Medellin. And we'll get all into that, what Tejo is and how he got into that, because we've seen crazy changes as much as Chris has seen the city change and you've seen a lot of people change. We've seen you change as a person, not only in your weight and the way that your hairline is popping off, but in a lot of other ways. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, Chris, say what's up to the people. Tell them who you are, where you're from.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
My name is Chris Cajoleas.
That's how you
pronounce your last name.
Yeah, we've been saying cajones.
I say cajoles, cajoli.
Cajoles. Say it again.
I get it's cajoles,
Cajoles.
but I get cajones, cajoleas all the time.
Cabrones.
But yeah, there's a referee in Tejo. He calls me Chris Cardonales, and he always laughs, and I'm like, is that really funny?
Yeah, Cardonales. I like that.
But I am been living here. June will be 8 years.
Okay.
And I'm from originally Bradenton, Florida. Lived all over Florida, and one day just decided to pack it in and move to Medellin.
Wow.
Yeah. And what were you doing down there in Florida? You Floridian?
I was part of the economic collapse in the United States. I worked in the subprime mortgage business.
Okay.
Were you?
I was a salesman for about 7.5, 8 years.
Okay.
And
The Big Short.
The Big Short.
Okay.
Wow.
I worked for all of the banks that all started closing and disappearing.
Yeah.
But that's what I was doing. And man, I just said, you know what? I got $15,000 to my name.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I jetted off to Brazil, and that started my whole whirlwind of winding up in Colombia.
How long were you in Brazil?
Well, I went to Brazil on a vacation.
Okay.
But I met a girl while I was there, and we
Dang.
dated long distance for a year. And then I moved to Brazil to be with her. I didn't realize she wanted to get married immediately. So that didn't work out.
No.
So after 3 months, I found myself sitting in Rio de Janeiro contemplating life. And that was when I said, I need to come to Colombia.
Okay.
And
So
so
total time spent in Brazil was how long?
well, after backpacking a little bit, I was there for 5.5 months.
Okay, not that long.
No, not that long. And then I got to Medellin, and I stayed here for 3 months, and I was like, man, I got to come back.
And how old were you? I know this is, I don't want to make this about, there's a reason I'm asking this.
Yeah.
How old were you when you first got to Medellin?
38.
38. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're basically the age I am now.
Thanks.
I just do these things to make me feel better.
So was
Slow
that
them
the
down,
reason?
I know,
slow them
right?
down, and
Look,
I feel
man,
good.
You got a lot of
Yeah,
gray in
like,
there
this-
for a young guy.
hey,
for a
hey,
buck,
hey,
a young buck.
This Clooney did it. I can do it. You know what I'm saying? I hear that when it all goes like Sebastian was saying, he commented on Facebook. He's like, yeah, a few years ago I had a nice speckled beard like Joel. And he called me out and tagged me in the comment. And I'm like, why does everybody need to know I have gray hair? Anyways.
You're the
and now
Black
it's all-
Clooney.
Huh?
You're the Black Clooney.
The Black Clooney.
What?
Oh, I can't. Wow. Okay, no.
I did not say that either.
You guys are
The
making
Black Clooney.
racial
The Balooney.
Yeah. Anyways, you got a whole lot of beeping going on in this. So you're 38 years old, and you get here. What was that like for you, man?
Man, it was eye opening because I had thought, I was like, oh my gosh, Colombia is this dangerous place.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect, but when I got here, I just felt relaxed. At 38, I had never been able to relax. And when I got here, I just felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I had to run in the rat race or do anything like that. So, man, I just chilled out for 3 months. I learned everything I could about the city.
Nice.
I went everywhere that I figured I could go safely.
2012? Is this 2012? Circa 2012?
Give or take, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was 2012. But I went out and took a look at everything.
Yeah.
And man, I was like, I gotta move.
Yeah.
So I left and came back probably 4 times, 5 times. And then finally, almost 8 years ago, pulled the trigger.
So
And the rest is history.
yeah, so when you got here, obviously you did a bunch of shit, learned about the city. When did you decide to open up the flip flop?
Not actually until I got here.
Really?
My whole goal the year before I moved here, I was teaching myself how to bake cinnamon rolls because I wanted to open a knockoff Cinnabon.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
That's a good idea.
But I knew I needed to be on Calle 10,
Right.
the main road.
Yeah.
So I spent 2 weeks walking up and down, and there was nothing available.
Yeah.
So when I found the original location for the flip flop,
Yeah.
I was like, it's too far off of Calle 10
Yeah.
for people to come.
Yeah.
So I said restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I rented that spot. I took 2 weeks to plan out a menu, my pricing and everything, and I just did it.
Wait. So you rented a place. You took 2 I'm out here doing a 4-year.
A little bit of context because I real didn't understand that question right now.
Okay, so Chris was the owner of the Flip Flop Sandwich Shop, which was obviously a sandwich shop up where Provenza is now. But this was before Provenza was what it is now. It's still like some residential units there, some
Completely.
houses.
Yeah.
I was happy to tell tourists that there were 7 hostels within a 5-minute walk of my restaurant.
Yeah, now there's like
Now there's
100.
like 60 or
Yeah, 700s.
And so he was the owner there, and that's basically how we met him because we used to play basketball at the basketball court, which was right
Down
there.
the street.
So we'd go over there and order a sandwich and take it home or whatever, because his sandwiches and breakfast was
All day
American
breakfast.
style.
Yeah.
American style, all day breakfast. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
it wasn't like now you go and you bump into. So let's take you back to 2012. Even walking around, for those of you who've lived here or those of you who plan to come here, you'll hear the name Provenza. Provenza is like the hot spot right now in Medellin to be in. It's the who's who of the what's what. That's where the clubs, the bars, the restaurants and stuff are. But when Chris opened his business there, he was like, as far as I can recall right now, like the second business owner in that neighborhood. Happy Buddha Hostel was up that way, further up.
Oh,
but
I was before him.
That was
by
before
a
Buddha.
year.
Yeah, that was.
you were before
Yeah,
Buddha.
before Buddha.
By
Okay, so
a
he's
year.
before Buddha, a year, but he beat
Well,
Buddha.
Arcadia was nearby. Casa Kiwi.
Casa Kiwi.
Yeah, but
Casa
that's still,
Kiwi.
that's still like a trek. I'm talking
Yeah, that's
like
a
now
trek
if you
up.
go into Provenza, people are speaking English everywhere and the menu is
Sure.
catered to foreigners. You walk through there and you spoke to a person from the United States or somewhere else that owned the business. You're like, what the fuck are you doing here, man? And the conversation just started and the bond just happened because
Right.
it's not like you're going to walk one door down and find another Chris.
Right,
It's
right.
like, who's this guy? And how the hell are you serving buffalo chicken sandwiches
chicken sandwich,
in
that
the
was the
middle
best
of
one.
Medellin, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. So it's a
So
way
it was
different
basically
connection.
like what the Facebook groups are now before the Facebook groups. That
Exactly,
was the place where you met and congregated with other expats.
Yeah.
Because there was also the Shamrock. Remember the Shamrock bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was there. It was like a little Irish bar there,
Yeah.
and people would congregate there. But yours was like right down the street,
Yeah.
so everyone knew each other.
It was really cool. I mean, even now, I'll meet people. Like, I just had somebody at Tejo, and they remembered me from 7 years ago. I had no idea who they were.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because I don't say this. It's cool kind of being responsible for so many people knowing so many other people.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Being that
so many
connector.
people met
Yeah.
through me, and it was really cool to kind of be the catalyst for people.
But that was your thing. That was your thing as far as I recall. It's like, hey, oh yeah, like when I met you, it'd be like, oh yeah, so you're doing photography. Yeah, well I know this person that has an apartment. So you might want to, and you were always, that was your thing apart from flipping the
burgers.
the burgers and whatever. It was like you'd come out and you'd talk to people. And I remember that's when what do you call it? TripAdvisor wasn't huge here, but you were getting a lot of TripAdvisor reviews, and people are like, if you want to get good tourist information about Medellin, go to the Flip Flop Sandwich Shop, right? That's what I recall.
It's a personal thing for me. I had the #1 restaurant for 6 months straight, so I beat out Carmen for 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Obviously, I am not. I was not as good of a restaurant as Carmen,
But it was just because of the reviews.
Right, but I knew how to market my restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's pretty cool. Now, granted, back then there were only like 270 restaurants on TripAdvisor. Now there's a couple of thousand.
Okay.
So there's no way in heck I'd be in the.
Well, let me just put it this way: if Dwayne and Jasmine, two friends of mine, ever watched this episode, and Andrew, we're a very brutal group. Like if you could make fun of something about someone, you're gonna make fun about it for a very long time. And I remember back then, bro, I was 2012. Literally, I just wanted some sort of income. I just wanted to develop in photography. I remember going over to Chris's place, and I'm like, man, I got the tripod and some lenses and stuff. I could take some food photos. I knew nothing about food photos. And I remember, I took the photos. Chris said, bro, I don't have money to pay you for any photos, but you got buffalo chicken sandwiches.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, buffalo chicken sandwiches. And I went home, Chris. I was living with Dwayne at the time. And Jasmine was over. And I was like, yeah, man. I took some photos. You guys got to check them out. Had some buffalo chicken sandwich. And they just started laughing. They're like, God damn, bro, this is what you've come down to? You doing photos for chicken sandwiches?
Photos for food?
And photos for food was the running joke with these guys for like 2 years about how you just paid me with a chicken sandwich. And I took like hours of photos. But hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. That's where I started.
Yeah,
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle.
You gotta-
Yeah. So obviously you don't own the restaurant now. How long did you operate that for?
I owned it for 18 months. And at that point, I realized there weren't enough tourists. I was 4 years ahead of my time.
Yeah.
So I sold it to the girl that was my manager.
Okay.
And she actually just closed it, say 4 or 5 months ago.
Wow.
So now she's operating like a kitchen out of her house and trying to get onto Rappi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the name isn't gone, but
Flip-flop sandwich shop on Rappi from the kitchen.
correct.
No, that's pretty
So,
interesting.
yeah, that's crazy about being 4 years ahead of your time, because I was thinking actually when we asked Chris to come on, I was like, fuck, if Chris were there right now in that
he'd
spot
be
right
killing
now,
it.
you'd be like absolutely slaying it. And
Absolutely.
no one, I mean, we all saw it, but I remember having the same doubts. I was like, I remember telling my family the same thing, like, you guys wait and see. Medellin is the next thing. It's the undiscovered place. It is the thing. And I remember there was a little slow period going on.
Yep.
There was a little slow period where you began to doubt yourself.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell am I doing
Yeah,
here?
what am I doing here? What's with life, man? I used to have a good job, man.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm just like struggling taking photos for sandwiches. But yeah, no, but true. And so that's what forced the shutdown or the sale.
Well, yeah, because it didn't make any sense for me to continue to go to work and not make any money. I mean, I ate, so I didn't really have any bills. I was cool. But
Can we ask some personal questions that if you don't want to answer
Bring
them
it.
right now, how much did you sell that restaurant for?
12 million.
At the time, that was about $4,000 US.
Yeah, with the conversion,
No,
it was
less.
like
More.
No, it was like
2,800?
1.9 or 2 at that time.
Oh, so much
Because
more.
remember when I got here, it was 1.86.
Yeah.
1,800. It was 1,800 pesos to $1 US.
Right.
Just in context, in 2012, and now it's at about 3,300.
Right.
So
Wow.
it's way more than double. Lost in value.
So I would probably say it was around 2.
Okay.
Maybe 2.2 when I sold it.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, I sold it, and then but yeah, I mean that was it. I sold it, and then I had to figure out the next thing.
Your next move.
And
yeah.
what was that next move?
I watched TV for about a year.
I remember you moved back to Florida for a time.
All right, somewhere in between all of that, I got married.
Damn,
And,
you got married.
Wait. A lot
Whoa,
before the
whoa,
marriage.
whoa,
Let's
whoa.
jump to the marriage because
Well-
I remember, Chris. I don't know if this is when you were watching that year of TV of like Judge Judy and whatever, the Steve Harvey show. But I remember you posted, because you used to post these Medellin stuff, and then all of a sudden I lost track with you for a while, and next thing I see you're like dressed in like a shirt and tie.
Yep.
And it was some post on Facebook. I'm like, God damn, man. Now that whole photographing for sandwiches doesn't seem that bad, because this guy who was smoking a cigar and in the shorts is now back into the grind, and you were out trying to find sales jobs. What were you doing in Florida? What did you go back to do?
Dude, I went home to try and do anything because I had to support a wife
Yeah.
who we were going to move to the U.S.
Okay.
So I went back. I had to help my mom with something for about 2 months, so that put me behind. But I found a job doing, what do you call it? When you try and help people get a job.
Oh, recruiting. Like
Recruiting.
recruitment,
Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be cool,
Yeah.
but it really sucks. That's
Yeah.
really not a good job
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
It's tough.
So I called Juliana, my wife, Juliana, and she was working at a school here, a private school. And I said, are you going to get the permanent position? Because I need to know. You know, I'm either going to stay here and you're coming or.
Yeah.
And so I took the job. A week later, she told me that they offered her the position back here. So I quit and moved back to my mom's house for a month and then came right back here.
Okay.
So
Now, what was your stint in the U.S.? How long did you spend back there?
5 months.
5 months. One of the worst 5 depressing months of your life?
It was rough, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 2 months, like I said, I had to help my mom do some stuff with my nephews. But after that, you know, just trying to get a job
Yeah.
after you've been a business
Yeah.
owner.
Yeah.
And that's so what was I around 40 at the time?
Yeah.
And you're looking at these kids,
Yeah.
you know, 30-year-old managers wanting to interview you.
Yeah.
And you're just like, shut the fuck up.
Tell me about a time when you faced a challenging experience. You're like, motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly tried to get a job at Chipotle. That
Really?
was, yeah, because, you know, managers are making like 60 grand or 70 grand.
Right.
So I
Okay.
went to a cattle call interview and I was just like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, but I listened, paid attention. So the next time they had a cattle call interview, I was prepared. So when I went to the interview, they started asking me all these questions and I knew
You were
answers
prepared,
to them.
yeah.
And they were like, oh my, can we talk to you, you know, afterwards? And it was 2 girls. I'm not kidding you. Maybe one was 24 and maybe 26. And they're like, oh, we'd really like you to stay and talk to the manager and just all this stuff. And I was like, I need to talk to my wife tomorrow. And I can tell you. And as soon as I said I can't work today, you could see it in their face. Like, forget it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, what is life when you got 2 24-year-olds dictating a 40-year-old's life?
Right. Right.
I don't want to be involved in that crap anymore.
Those are the breaks, though. Some people have to go through it.
Yes, they do. And I'm terribly sorry for everybody that does.
That has to go through the breaks. Yeah. No, it's
So, before we leave the flip-flop sandwich shop, what would you your word of advice to anybody that wants to come out here, or maybe even a Colombian that wants to start a small restaurant like you did?
Don't do it. No, I mean, listen, doing business in Medellin or Colombia in general is very difficult. I mean, a lot of people come down here and have jobs where they work back home. That's a world of a different, you know, that's different.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many people still to this day try and tell me how to do business in Medellin. I'm like, have you ever had a business in Medellin? No.
No.
Okay, shut the fuck up.
yeah.
But, you know, so it's hard, especially now. Rent is ungodly high.
In those high demand areas.
Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
in most, again, and it depends on your client base. But, you know, like a restaurant, if you're Colombian and you're going to open a Colombian style restaurant, dude, I could throw my cigar and hit 10 of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's too saturated.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people want to, I wouldn't do it unless you've got a lot of money behind you and can afford to lose it.
Right. And you were pre-Rappy. I think. Do you think you would have fared differently having Rappy around when you were open?
Probably yes, but I can't imagine. You know, I mean, who's the other domicilio.com?
Yeah, Domicilio,
They hit me up like 6 months before I sold it to try and get on their website.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the time, any delivery driver that I met, you know, they wanted like 40 mil a day plus 20 mil for the bike. And at that time, I couldn't justify
too much.
60 mil a day. You know, that was more than I was paying in rent.
I think that's why Rappy took off so much, because the business owners, it transferred. It has no responsibility of the business owner other than
Right.
creating the product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I never really got to know if delivery would have helped.
Right.
Because honestly, my client base at that time were tourists.
Tourists, yeah.
I mean, mostly backpackers. I mean, you guys came once in a while,
Yeah.
but you know, my daily business was backpackers.
Right.
And
People
older
coming
gentlemen that just sat at that table
and
and
smoked
did-
and
smoked,
talked
yeah.
about women.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
And that's also another tip.
Yeah,
Don't have your client base be over 55 and sit out in public and let them talk.
yeah,
Because other people are going to run from
yeah.
them
I don't want to
because of their topic of conversation.
Yeah,
like old sex mongers.
Yes.
OSMs.
OSMs. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know what Rappi is a life-changing app for a lot of
That
us
you
that
should
come out.
get if you're coming.
Yeah, if you're coming here, Rappi is basically a delivery service. You open the app and you have all the restaurants that are on there. You order, and within anywhere between 20 and 50 minutes, your food is at your door. And not only food, but you could literally get it. They have Rappi ATM now,
Cash, yeah.
where you could just get cash if you don't have cash at home.
Groceries.
Groceries, yeah, the Éxito and Carulla.
If you get the right driver, you can get drugs as well.
Yeah, like
I
from
hear
the
lots
pharmacy.
of I hear lots of stories. So
I don't know what he's talking. Yeah. Anyways,
Wow.
we don't use
Hey,
the
no,
word
wait a minute,
Rappi
listen.
drugs.
Rappi drugs.
you guys know I don't drink. I don't
Yeah,
smoke.
yeah.
Well, I smoke cigars. I've never done drugs in my life.
Yeah.
But being in the position of tourism, dude,
Yeah.
you learn way too much about people you don't want to know.
Yeah. Wow,
Wow.
I can imagine. I can
Yeah.
imagine. But actually, this whole thing about failing, and we'll come back to it because feeling like a failure, I don't know. Okay, so just from an emotional perspective, did you what was it like to sell that thing off? And what did it feel like to you're in Medellin? This because I know when I came here, I thought my biggest nightmare would be to leave here at this particular point after giving a year of my life or
Right.
two. I'm and I faced that, and I talk about it on other episodes. Where I had nothing left, and I'm like, this feels like the end of the world in a way to me. I feel like a complete failure. The first thing I've ever failed at. Did you feel like that, or what was it?
Not at all.
Okay.
Look, I will back up. When I was in the mortgage business, when that all went downhill, I lost everything.
Yeah.
I had 2 houses, $500,000 in mortgages. I had a car, everything, and I lost all that. And at first, I started to feel like you failed, and then I was like, you know what? I took my shot.
Yeah.
I shot your shot.
I made my play, and it didn't work. So I wasn't really upset about it. I just knew at that time, 38 years old, I had to keep going, do something different. So when I sold the restaurant, it was the same kind of thing. I didn't fail.
Yeah.
You
shot your shot.
Well, right, but I still never thought that it was a bad idea. For God's sake, it still was open up until 4 to 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So the idea was the right idea.
Yeah.
It was just ahead of its time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never felt bad about any of it
Okay.
because, no, I never felt bad about
But
it.
you're also a very positive person, and that's another reason why I think that you're here, because we're getting to present day what you're doing and how you got there. But it's this whole thing of and I deliberately said the word fail. We've talked about it on other episodes. I think that you gotta shoot your shot. That should be the title of this podcast. Shoot your damn shot. Miss your damn shot and continue onwards.
Absolutely.
Because if you do that, and unless it's a fairy tale, it's gonna play out like the way it played out for you, for Andrew, and myself. But we're still here. We're still kicking it. We're still kicking it.
And we're still beating everybody else.
Yeah.
We're winning.
still
We're
around,
Charlie
baby. We're
Sheen.
still around.
Alive and kicking.
We got 2 fans in Iraq. That's what it's about. So, man. So this Tejo on your shirt here, it says Tejo, Tejo. It's not Tejo. It's Tejo Medellin. What is Tejo?
Tejo is the national sport of Colombia.
Okay.
And I am the only non-Colombian or Venezuelan that competes in the sport in the country. Actually, in South America.
Really?
So, yeah, I play in the professional league of Tejo.
Can you explain the game for us a little bit?
I can. Tejo, if you can grab my...
This thing is
my
like
thing.
a dumbbell. Oh, all right. There you go.
This is my carriel. And inside of it are my Tejos.
Okay.
So here, I'll hand you one. these are Tejos, and you throw these discs. These discs weigh about 3 pounds. So I throw that 18 and a half meters. For the for the gringos, that's a little more than 60 feet.
You throw it overhand or underhand?
Underhand. So I throw it underhanded.
And it's illegal to throw it overhand, or is
Stand
it?
up for a second. Just don't hit me in the face, and you can squiggle around a bit. Get out the old couch. And how's that? How are you? Swing it towards the camera. Let them see what you will do. Just don't break the wall. We gotta pay for that. Like that.
You throw it like
You're
that.
throwing a 3-pound weight into the air for about 60 feet.
Yeah, and okay,
about 60 feet?
60 feet.
Yeah.
There's a line that you can't cross.
Correct. There's
Okay.
a line that you can't cross. And after you throw it,
Assume we're seeing a video right now.
you're
Yeah.
throwing it into a pit of clay. And in the pit of clay, there's a metal circle. And in the metal circle sits these. These are called mechas.
Yeah.
These are full of gunpowder, sulfur, and phosphorus. If you hit this and you hit the ring behind it, it'll explode.
Yeah.
That's
It's an
awesome.
explosive game.
It's
Yeah.
a completely.
So it's like cornhole, but with explosives.
Absolutely.
All right.
So it's something I absolutely love. I obviously run Tejo in Medellin, so I explain to anybody that comes out how to play, and then at the end of it, I also explain the history of the game. Since it's the national sport, there's definitely a story behind it.
Right.
But wait, how did you get into throwing big metal things at explosives? Like what how did you
How did
said
that
you're
come
the
about?
only you're the only foreigner non-Venezuelan.
Right,
You gotta put that in there.
right.
How did that happen?
So remember, after I sold my restaurant, I told you that I watched TV for about a year. So right before I sold the restaurant, I went out and tried Tejo for my first time.
Okay.
It was fun. You know, I played half court Tejo.
Yeah.
Was that your wife introduced you to a group of guys,
No,
or how did you get that?
No, it was so hard to find back then. So the manager of my restaurant, Paula, she finally found a place for me to play. So Paula and I and one other person went out and tried it. I mean, it was fun. You know, it wasn't
Yeah.
anything that I was all geeked up about to do again.
Yeah.
But after the year goes by of watching TV and not doing anything, I was like, I need a hobby.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll go out and play Tejo again. So I would go out once every 2 or 3 weeks, and then it became once a week. Then it became 2 times a week. And I started playing every Saturday alongside the Colombians, like the good guys,
Yeah.
and hoping that one day they would invite me to play.
Okay. And they did
It took me 8 months.
Ah.
to get an invite.
Yep.
And what's your like, you know, I mean, like Serena Williams was number 1. Kobe, God rest his soul, was at one point number 1. We got a lot of number 1s. Where do you stand in the world of Tejo? What's your position?
I would say that I'm probably in the top 70th percentile.
Top 70th percentile in Colombia.
Yeah, but
Well, that's worldwide. I mean, it's like
well, I mean, the league really represents Colombia.
Okay.
Because there's courts in Spain,
yeah.
but they don't really have a league like we have a league.
Okay.
So I mean, you know, for example, next month I'm going to play in 2 tournaments, one in Tunja and one in Fusagasugá. So
Dang.
you know, I travel around in the league.
Fusagasugá.
Fusagasugá.
Fusagasugá. I've
So-
never even heard of that place.
Really?
No.
It's an hour and a half south of Bogota.
Okay.
But it's a big Tejo place. So,
And what are you guys wearing here? You guys wearing like little short shorts, or what?
No, you
what's
wear
the-
these really
Oh, okay.
hot pants.
Okay.
I don't even know what kind of polyester. No,
Yeah.
not polyester.
They're
Anyway,
like windbreaker material.
windbreaker material and a windbreaker shirt, like material
Like
like this.
All right.
It's like
Got this.
polyester, sort of.
Valle 6. it
Vale,
says.
vale.
Vale,
Vale.
says.
Oh, vale. No,
Wow,
vale.
it's
Oh,
Canadians and they're Spanish.
Yeah.
What's
Vale.
up
I
with
thought I
that?
saw double L, man. Okay, so you wear these, you know, but you guys ever thought of making Tejo sexy, man? Like bringing like the you know,
Cheerleaders?
bringing cheerleaders, getting real buff and stuff, wearing the little shorts and the cutoffs and like
They're-
little sweatbands, or what?
Joel, this is a
I
sport.
have thought about it. Believe me,
This is
I've-
a sport where you can drink and play, Joel.
Right, it's alcohol and explosions. You don't actually need any nudity.
It's like
Oh.
bowling.
Right.
Like bowling, it's like you can it's a sport, but you can also drink and smoke and do whatever.
Yeah, do whatever the hell you want.
But yes, I have in my marketing head. I have thought of having special nights for men things like that. But in my
Special
current
nights for
special nights, have
Special nights.
I want to
for
hear
men.
about the
Yeah,
special
talk
nights
about
for
the
men.
special nights.
Hey,
for
you
men.
know, you have like the girls from Fase Dos come over, and you have Tejo, you have alcohol explosions, and
Oh
some
man, all
dancing.
sorts of explosions.
Wow.
But-
where would this be?
Well, that's it would never be for two reasons, at least in the current location. One,
Right.
because I'm married, so
Yes.
I would come home to an empty house.
Yeah.
And the other reason is because you can't do that at
In
the
the public
Exactly.
space, yeah.
Somebody's gonna steal your idea. It's mixing strippers and blowing
And
things
blowing
up.
things
Like,
up.
Yeah.
I'd
Somebody, a court in Bogota actually had a girl taking the Tejos out of the ground in a bikini.
Really?
Just once. That's the only time in 4 years.
Well,
I've
me and
ever
Andrew
heard
got
of
some
that.
free time. We could get into some little
Into some bikinis,
skimpy,
some
skimpy
mankinis.
things.
Yeah, so Joel, this one actually should be your.
Felipe is.
No, because you just mentioned Bogota, so I'm curious because you said Tejo is like the national sport of Colombia, right? And obviously you know the history of the sport, and yeah, I know of it growing up, but for me, being a local paisa, born and raised here, I've never thought of Tejo as a paisa sport or activity.
Right, it's not.
It's always been associated, at least for me, it's always been associated with Rolos, with Bogota, with that part of the country. So I do want to know how you came to know about it and how you fell in love with it, and yeah, how you came to find out so much about it.
Sure. I had heard about Tejo from backpackers, 7-8 years ago. They'd come in and tell me about this game that you throw a piece of steel and it blows up. I had no idea. So that was how I found it. What got me into it, though, like I said, I was bored, so I needed something to do. Because back home, I played softball, volleyball, and golf. But golf here is just stupidly expensive,
Yeah.
so I'm not playing golf. But really, after the first time I got to play with the Colombians, it was really funny because that day, for the 4 games that I played, I outplayed them all.
Okay.
And so it turned into this woo thing for me.
Yeah.
It was really ego building.
Yeah.
But it was also a way to be immersed in the culture. Because for me, you guys know, all I did was spend time with tourists.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You were here like 5 years, and I think you knew about 4 words in Spanish.
Exactly.
Your Spanish was actually terrible.
It probably still is. But, the thing is after I knew I could play the game, I started marketing it. I realized tourists would love this.
Right.
So that's how I opened Tejo in Medellin. But to answer your question, once I started doing all this at the same time, I started taking my marketing ideas from my business to the actual sport of Tejo.
Yeah.
So this is going to sound kind of arrogant, but I'm the driving force in Tejo right now for
course, I
marketing
don't know anybody else.
in all of Colombia.
Yeah, there's nobody
If it weren't for you, I would have never heard about
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Me either.
But even the Colombians, I still get messages once a week, twice a week saying, "Gringo, thank you so much for showing the world our sport."
Yeah, they're proud of that.
Like my Facebook page, I'm the administrator for the largest Tejo page in Colombia, or one of them. But my Tejo in Medellin page has more Colombian fans than almost all the Tejo pages combined.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
So,
Cultural ambassador.
yes. So, dude, it was an ego thing, but it's also something I enjoy because I like meeting people.
Yeah, you do.
But I
Very
couldn't speak to anybody, and that's the reason why I started speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Not because of my
Yeah,
wife.
you had to. You're forced.
Right. I was sitting there smoking my cigars, and people would come up and talk to me, and I'm like, So if it weren't for Tejo, I probably would not be speaking any Spanish.
But you said you started marketing, and I don't even know how I knew because me and Andrew took a group
Andrew
of
and
folks
I.
out. Me and Andrew, man. God, what the hell is this? An English podcast? If you out here trying to get your ESL game up, you're in the wrong place. So Andrew and I, Chris, we ended up at your one of your Tejo events, and we took some folks out there, and we've got a photo we threw up
A couple
right here.
times.
Yeah, that's before the beard, pre-beard era. And you said you started marketing it, so you're out there playing blowing shit up, and you're like, I'm gonna market this because I think other people might want to do this. What do you remember your first like marketing of the Tejo event? What you did?
I had three or four other friends come out, that came out and played, but they were the first paying people. I took a couple of pictures of them, and then, as you guys know, I was meme heavy back in the day. Yeah. So I made a meme of the 4 or 5 people standing on the mud. Mm-hmm. And I remember that was the first time I really posted something.
On Facebook or where?
On Facebook. Okay. And I hit all the groups at that time 3-4 years ago or 3 years ago. And that was the first one.
And then people just kept asking, or what happened? Or you just kept taking, like, what happened after the first time?
It was really, really slow. I mean, honestly, I was lucky to have maybe 4 groups a month. Mm-hmm. But, just once I got on the TripAdvisor and I started getting more reviews, once I started getting more, people going out and then talking about it, it just slowly grew.
Yeah.
So.
And what are you at now? Like, how many people a week? Like, what are you at?
20 to 30 a week.
20, 30 people?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
How many nights a week?
That's usually maybe 3. I mean, I maybe work 6 or 8 hours a week max.
That's pretty good.
I mean, this week, just I didn't plan to work this week at all. I mean, today and Tuesday because of a soccer game. So, I just pushed stuff off. So, I mean, I worked 2 hours.
Are you basically retired, or what's going on here? What is like, I worked 6 hours this week. You're like Tim Ferriss.
I don't
you know who that is.
I don't necessarily have to work.
Okay.
But I'm not retired.
Okay.
I mean, I use my Tejo money to pay the bills. Yeah. And if I have anything else, like when I bought my motorcycle, I had to pay for it on my card.
Okay.
My cash in the US.
Right.
But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, Tejo pretty much pays my bills.
And
that's cool.
So the other thing is, you had I remember, I don't know if Andrew, if you remember this, but you posted something out of nowhere. Chris is like, I'm on like, it was something like MTV Cribs or Cartagena House or something.
Oh, no. I remember what it was. It was
Acapulco Shore.
Acapulco Shore. So these Mexican people that are on
what?
Acapulco Shore.
That's how you properly say it.
Acapulco Shore, which is basically like Jersey Shore, but the Mexican version for MTV in Spanish.
Sweet.
They came to Medellin and they booked a tour or play Tejo with Chris and his company, and they were on MTV. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was really cool to be on international TV.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because I ended up giving all the guys a shirt, and at the end of the episode, they all got into a fight with these 2 Colombians in the hotel, and I was like, "Honey, they're fighting in my shirts."
Wait, it's on the show? Is this on the show?
Yeah.
I never got to watch the show.
I'll share the video with you.
I will definitely,
I definitely
watch
have
that.
it.
So they're fighting in your Tejo shirts?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
That's
two
stuff.
twin Colombian guys, and they're talking shit about one of the guys, and he comes in the room, and then they start brawling in the art hotel.
Wow, man, that's amazing. That's way more achievement than we've had in our entire lives.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, when I went there, I was like, man, I don't want to spend this much time with these douchebags. Because I'm like, if they're anything like the douchebags on the Jersey Shore, I'm going to want to fucking hit them.
Yeah.
But the main guy, Potro, he's like the dude. He was cool. Yeah. I mean, like, I walked over to the side with him and I was talking with him and I said, yeah, I really kind of expected you to be a douchebag. And then I realized that we were all mic'd up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, crap. It was like, great. I can just see that's going to be on the show.
Oh, God.
Trust me, Chris. I think if people right now.
That's good content, though. That's good content.
People probably watch this show and be like, Andrew and Joel are such fucking douches. But little do they know we're tender, and is this one.
Little do they know we're actual douchebags.
Damn it, I was going to say that.
Little do they know we're actual douchebags, and little do they know that some dude on YouTube. I love bring the hater comments. Just make me laugh sometimes. I just shake my head.
I don't even read them.
I read them because wait. I'm going to ask you about some hater comments on your shit now. But I'm going to give you one of the funniest ones. Is the other day the guy wrote. I don't know if he's hater. He's just I don't know you, man. But it was a funny comment. He's like, you guys are. We were interviewing our friend Gloria and. He called me and Andrew beta males. Beta males. I was like, God damn. I've been called all sorts of shit in my life.
But
you
beta
go to
male.
Facebook, and that exists on the interwebs. If you want to find it, I'm a beta male. You can just go check it out. What sort of hater shit happened with you, man?
Dude.
Gotta have some hater.
I honestly refrain from posting that much except on my pages now.
Right.
Because I'm so fucking tired of the idiots that come down here or that are in these groups now.
Yeah.
If you don't live here, get the fuck off our pages.
Yeah.
Or don't make the comments, stupid comments.
Right. I mean, talk about shit you know. But anyway, dude, I don't post because I don't want it.
So because something, well, give us a hater. What happened with a hater? What's happened with a hater and your table?
Dude, I will tell you, just at the court one day, I actually had a guy threaten me on the court.
Why?
He wanted to throw a full court, and I told him no because safety.
Right.
You know, he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Plus, there were some other people on the other side.
Yeah.
I know you guys know, but so I just said, when they're gone, I'll let you do it, but not right now.
How far is throwing full court? How far is he throwing this 3
Like
pound
60
object?
feet.
60 feet.
But okay, so
Right.
he's trying to be a pro. Okay.
Right. And so, you know, you don't have any business doing that. But
Yeah.
regardless, so he goes, who are you to tell me what I can do? And I went, you know, I was thinking, are you being serious?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm the guide out here.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to throw it. And so I walked out into the middle of the court and he's like, I'll throw it in your fucking face. And I was like, okay. Because he was a client. I mean, his group was from a language academy. And I was like, well, I could just go jump on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or let it go. And so I chose to let it go because I didn't want to lose any business.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, you don't know me.
But
I
you
mean,
don't get. But you. That's the in-person hater. No online haters. People don't talk.
dude,
trash about the sport.
I've had people tell me you charge too much. Mostly you charge too much, or you know you don't really, you don't know what you're doing. Just stupid stuff.
Well, speaking of charging, what do you charge usually per person?
I charge now 30,000 pesos for a lesson on how to play, 2 hours of play, and 1 beer.
What? People are complaining about too much?
How much
Dude,
is it?
30,000 pesos.
That's $10 US.
10,
It's about 9 now. So
yeah. Like,
yeah, I mean
for 2 hours?
for 2 hours and a beer and a lesson on how to
Yo,
play.
Public service announcement over here. If you do not have $9 for like 2 to 3 hours of entertainment,
Exactly.
with beer included and a guide, you should probably not be traveling. You should be working.
Yeah, you should.
This is the point in your life where you need to earn some dollars. $9, people.
Listen
Come
to
on.
this man.
Come
I
on.
thought you were gonna say like 50 or 60,000
Yeah,
or something. I was like, okay,
I thought you
still,
paid $50 or $60.
yeah.
No, man, I mean, even this year, the lady increased the prices on me, the woman that runs the
That
place.
runs the place, yeah.
And I was like, well, I could increase it to 40, you know, and keep the 2 beers. And dude, I'd make a lot more money.
Yeah.
But I don't want to rip anybody off.
Yeah.
You know, I think I make 17,000 pesos per person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm happy with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I get people like that, like I will say there's a hostel that will not be named.
Yeah.
They just had a Tejo event in their hostel. And
In their hostel.
in their hostel. And so I was like, who's going to be teaching people and where did you get the equipment? Because I was just curious.
Yeah.
And the response back from an employee of that hostel says, it's not rocket science on how to play. And I think you charge too much.
Wow.
And that was the only response back to my question.
Wow. That's cool.
And it turns out what they charge, they didn't charge a fee to play Tejo, but what they made you do was buy 30,000 pesos of food or beer.
And then you get to play for
And then you
free.
get to play for an hour. So I wrote back to her, I was like, so you charge basically double what I do and you're telling me my price is too high?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Wow, man.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So that I would say is
It's pretty.
the
That's
biggest.
That's a shot.
Tell us a little bit about, I guess, your biggest challenge running a business here in Medellin.
The biggest challenge that I face right now is that I'm not the owner of the Tejo court. It's inside of a sports complex owned by Ender, which is like Parks and Recreation in the United States. So there's a woman there that's been running it for 19 years.
Leslie Nope?
Who?
Oh, sorry.
So she's been running it for 19 years. So I have to ask permission for everything that I do. So
She's like your mom.
basically.
Okay.
So I don't really advertise my tour because if people want to play at 12 o'clock or 8 o'clock, I have to ask permission. And I can't just instantly say yes.
Wow.
So the biggest problem is having to get permission for everything I do.
So you're limited there because of that.
Completely limited.
Shit.
How do you solve that?
Building your own court.
Well, right. That's getting your own place. But the problem with doing that, the rent, just so you guys know, the rent of the Tejo court from the city is a whopping 175,000 pesos a month. If I were to take that space and put it inside of a warehouse, a private warehouse, you're looking at a minimum of 6 million pesos a month.
So it's better to rent from the government
Yeah.
or the whoever, the city.
Right. But again, then the problem is now you have to convince the city to give up some, if you can find property. As an example, there's a country club called Club La Isabela. They have a Tejo court that they do not use. They asked me if I wanted to run it. So I wrote them a proposal. I offered them 1 million pesos a month, knowing that in Envigado, they pay under 200,000 pesos. They turned me down flat, even though they wanted me to. The board turned me down because you're not allowed to make money off of the city. What was it? Something stupid like that. Even though I was willing to pay for it,
Right.
They felt I couldn't do that.
Okay.
So, now
That's a limitation.
I found another parking lot, so I'm waiting on my friend to translate my offer letter to them.
Okay.
So I'll be turning that in next week. But, man, trying to find a warehouse for 400 or 500 square meters under 6
You need
million.
that. You need 400 to 500. What do you need? Like, what's the minimum? Because what I'm hoping is that eventually people watching this show, there's other people that don't need to make money, but they want to do something fun. And they
Right.
want to, maybe somebody watches this and they're like, fuck, man, I got that money. I can buy a parking lot and play Tejo with this guy and smoke some cigars all day long. And maybe they see it. So if what's missing is just a piece of, land near here where you can put up a shed and make some of these mud pits, then that's what it is. So that's your biggest challenge.
It's the biggest challenge. And for me, I could do half court like I've done with you guys. I mean, just a half court game. But the problem is that the way I see it is I play Tejo professionally. I don't want to leave my Tejo business to go practice.
Right.
I know that might sound really stupid, and I've kind of come to the understanding that I'm never going to have my own place. But, I think it's absolutely senseless that I would have to leave my business and go practice somewhere else.
Right.
Because being who I am, I could have national tournaments here. I could easily bring 100 teams, so 400 people. I could easily get 400 people to come to Medellin to play. Colombians. But I don't
Is
have
that
the
your
space.
vision? Is that your type of so what is this? We always ask people, what is their vision for their business? You've got Tejo in Medellin, you're taking 20, 30 people a week. You're looking for a parking lot for the mud pits. What is the real vision here? What are you trying to do? What's your big goal?
This is extremely egotistical, but dude, honestly, I want to be the king of Tejo in Colombia.
As in the top player?
No,
Like the Kobe of Tejo?
I don't think I'll ever achieve that because the guys that are top are amazing. It's like a high school basketball team playing against Jordan.
Right.
You may get lucky and make some baskets,
Yeah.
but you ain't winning.
Okay.
But no, I want to be the Tejo guy in Colombia. I'm already one of the most popular people. Mm-hmm. Take that for whatever it's worth. But I want to be able to have people from all over Colombia come to Medellin and play because of me.
Because of you, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
I know it's egotistical, but
Well, let's
I mean,
all
I
we
don't
can
know
help,
if it's
we can help that,
egotistical.
But-
I think it's a cool goal. It's a cool
Right.
vision.
Listen,
Yeah.
This whole egotistical thing, and I think we always seriously, I think society forces it upon people to be put your ego in check. Don't say what you want. If you want to be famous, don't say you want to be famous. If you want to be
Right.
the best, don't say you want to be the best because people are going to judge you and they're going to start talking shit about you. And I keep mentioning Kobe and them because, they had their own goals and whatever, but they wanted to be the best.
right.
They could say that, and I feel like for a lot of us, like even you, it's if you're like, I want to be the best. I want people to know my name when it comes to Tejo. It's
Right.
very hard to say.
Right.
But it's amazingly it's empowering when you actually fucking say it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know what you feel about that, about actually like
Yeah.
spitting like what you really want versus like humbling it down and being the beta males that we are.
Well, I think it's about visualizing, and you know, if you want something and you can visualize it and you can communicate it to people, I think, you know, the way the universe works, or at least it has for me in my life, is that when I project things like that, whether negative or positive, they happen to me. You know, it's I think it's definitely important for you to say that. So that's good to know. So I guess moving on, do we have any other Tejo questions, Joel?
No,
I
you got
do.
some
I
Tejo.
also did create the first brand of clothing for Tejo.
Yes.
You know, this game is over 500 years old,
Yeah.
and it took a gringo from Florida to create
bring a
the
clothing
first brand of clothing.
Okay.
So you saw the shirt earlier, but
Careful with them glasses.
my logo is Bali 6.
Okay.
It means it's worth 6. So when
Okay.
you throw your Tejo in the middle of the ring, that's what you get.
That's like the most points you could get from one throw.
No, you can get 9,
Okay, you could get 9.
and also beer koozies.
Yeah, the beer koozies are cool.
Yeah.
They're proper beer koozies too, because
Proper
some
ones.
of them just come up like halfway.
Right.
Have you
These
been
go all
buying
out.
these?
The shirts or the
Yeah,
koozies?
Either.
I sell a lot of the shirts, but the beer koozies was my biggest mistake in my brand of clothing.
Why is that? Nobody uses this here.
Nobody knows what they are.
Yeah.
So
They think it's just a fucking weirdly shaped condom.
right. So when you explain to them
penis
that
action.
it conserves,
brings us some today.
You
Yeah.
brought those for us? You gave us some free
Absolutely.
ones? Okay.
but yeah. So people are like, "What? What is it? It conserves, cold." And I explain it,
Yeah.
and then usually they're like, I drink it so fast, I don't need it."
You don't need it.
So-
you gotta try. You gotta shoot your shot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you gotta mix.
So you hold these cigars. You're a big cigar fan, right?
Huge.
And I'm gonna ask you a question about that in a sec. Have you noticed anybody else suddenly like come on the court with like, because you smoke and play, right?
Yeah.
You notice anybody trying to bite your style and smoke and play?
Colombians, no.
No.
They always laugh at me.
Yeah.
Because cigars for Colombians, especially the people that play Tejo,
Yeah.
those are for the farmers.
Yeah.
Not for normal everyday people.
Yeah.
I get my grandfather used to smoke, and you remind me of my grandfather. I get that a lot.
It's because they used to measure time with tobaccos.
Exactly.
okay.
So if you say, "Where do you live?" "Oh, I live 2 cigars, dos tabacos," that way.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So-
it would take me to smoke 2 tobaccos to walk that distance.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Pretty smart. Andrew asked me my last Tejo question. What to date has been, and it could be Acapulco Shore, what has been your biggest accomplishment to you on this journey to be known and to be the guy in Tejo? What's your biggest accomplishment so far with the Tejo business?
Man. Well, wait, with the Tejo business or
Yeah.
my Tejo career?
Tejo business and career.
And career,
Give us
yeah.
both.
My team, this was 2 years ago in a town called Moriquira. We had a giant tournament. It was called Interclubes. So all the clubs from all over Colombia came. And I play for Itagüí right now. And I actually play with the dude who was like the Babe Ruth of Tejo. He's really famous and
Sultan of Swing.
really good. But we had to play a club from Bogota, Cundinamarca, and on that team are 2 of my friends, but they're both in the top 5 in the
Okay.
country. Well, we won.
Wow.
And it was really funny because my captain, I had told him before, I was like, "Oh my God, these guys are the best."
Mm-hmm.
So when we won, he comes over to me, he's like, "We won."
Now we're the best.
Right. But it was just he was doing it basically like, "Fuck you, he's not the best," But it was funny. But that was like one of the best moments for me because
Amazing.
in any other circumstance, the best guy in Colombia, his name is Pinocho, and
Does that mean Pinocchio in English?
yeah, because he's got a big nose.
So the best. So the best Tejo player's name is not LeBron the King James
Yeah. Or Air Jordan.
or Air Jordan. It's
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
It's Pinocchio
Because he's got a big nose.
But like, so he's the best in Colombia.
yes,
does that mean that like when he throws it, he scores every time? Or
Well, the funny thing, and this is sad, in the game that we won, he actually hit the ring 14 times.
for those of you that don't know, that's
difficult.
very hard to do.
Right.
That's very hard to do.
My braces.
So he hit the ring 14 times. So he threw better than all of us, but he was penalized because he wasn't landing in the middle or in the front. He just kept hitting the ring.
Why do you get penalized?
Wait, why? Yeah.
Well, you get penalized, meaning your Tejo flies out of the
Oh,
out
so
of
it hits
mud.
the ring and then bounces out, so that doesn't count.
So
It's kind of like when you're doing darts and the dart
right.
flies
So
off.
I mean,
yeah.
you've got the best guy in the world in a game to 27. 14 of his throws didn't count.
Oh shit! And they hit the ring.
Right.
And if they would have counted, you guys would have been blown
Blown
out.
out.
Yeah.
I've actually, now I will say the worst moment, I actually played the same team. We played at 27, and the team that I was playing on, we lost 34-0
Wow.
in a game to 27.
Got smoked.
So the best and
Literally.
the worst, same people. Sorry.
Carry over the 7.
They had 26, just needed one more point, and they threw a 9-pointer.
A 9-pointer.
Yeah.
My dad once beat me in front of a whole group of Chinese students, 21-1 in table tennis. I was 11 years old, and it really hurt my feelings. And that's what made me,
Stop
man that
playing,
you are.
Stop playing table tennis.
but yeah, wow, 34-0. That's
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I wanted to cry.
That's cool.
Let's flip. Let's get off this little Tejo topic. Andrew, what you got to throw at him? What do the folks out there listening want to hear?
Well, one of the things that I'm curious about, because I don't own a motorcycle, and I've always seen you zooming around, and
It's a little ridiculous looking.
yeah, it's a little ridiculous looking, but it's functional, obviously. Tell us your experience getting a motorbike here. Was it difficult? Was it easy?
Piece of cake. 5 years ago, I bought my scooter. I had a 125 scooter, and I just went down and paid cash. And man, I will tell you, it's the best way to get around town.
Yeah.
I don't understand, seriously. Guys that live here for a long time, man, they're spending money on Uber and all this other stuff. I'm like, buy yourself a damn bike. You can get around.
Because they don't want to be paralyzed, Chris.
Because, dude, listen. My first week of having my scooter, I got into a wreck.
Oh my
But it was
gosh.
my fault.
you didn't even say a crash. You said a wreck.
A wreck. That's not even a crash.
I just got onto the Autopista, the highway, and it was stop and go. And I went to speed up because the car in front of me sped up, but then he hit the brakes. So I panicked, squeezed the front brake, the front wheel locked, turned, and I shot out the side. And all I remember falling, there's a dump truck.
Oh,
I see a
my
dump
gosh.
truck coming. So all of a sudden, I close my eyes and I feel this immense pain in my thigh. And I open my eyes and there's a motorcycle tire spinning on my head. And I was like, good, it wasn't the dump truck. So the people following behind me ran my leg over because they were following too close.
The motorbike.
Yeah, another motorbike. So
Fuck that, man. I'm not getting a
Can we, take a
motorbike.
step, can we take a step back, Chris? Before we start, you started that little monologue story thing there. You said, I don't get why people don't want to.
But hold on
do it."
though. So the point was though, look, after that, I've never been down since. Knock on.
Yeah.
Where's some wood?
Yeah, no wood. Yeah.
I've never been down since because it was just something stupid that I did. I panicked.
Okay.
But the point is after that, never happened again.
Yeah.
And now, after, now I will say I don't know if y'all know, I got my scooter stolen.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
what happened?
I went to a Tejo tournament in Bejo and parked it. I went to play and came back and I was eating a chorizo at the court. And I turned around and I looked where my bike was and I'm like, looking around, I was like, where's my bike? And so I just thought the guys moved it to be funny.
Yeah.
So I ran around and looked and couldn't find it. So, some other people went and started looking and I was still waiting for them to say, it's a joke,
Yeah.
it's over here. No. So called the police. They came. And just so everybody knows, there are certain things the police do really well here. They found the guy driving my motorcycle within 2 hours and I got it back.
Wow.
joyriding your scooter around.
Yeah.
So this is why I think Chris is such a great person to be on this podcast. And you guys, I mean, who in your life have you ever heard went to a Tejo tournament in a place called Tejo and was eating a big sausage, and then their bike got stolen and they got the
And
cops
got it back.
and they got it back 2 hours later. Like that's shit that only happens in places like Colombia.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come down here to experience that.
But so after that, I was like, I think I need a new one anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got it back, and then I bought my now motorcycle.
Okay.
So I went from a 125 scooter to a 400cc motorcycle.
How's that been treating you?
It's awesome. I really like it because now I can go much further. It used to take me like an hour and 15 minutes to drive to La Ceja on my bike.
Yeah.
I could only do 20 kilometers per hour going up the hills.
Yeah.
Now I
A
can do it.
ridiculous looking gringo with like
Exactly.
you and Louis Lotman, by the way. Louis Lotman.
like an 8-foot tall gringo.
Shout out to the 8 foot tall Louis Lotman on
Louis,
here.
how's that ankle treating you now?
Yeah. Little ass scooter. This guy's like 18 feet tall and his scooter's 1 foot tall. He like walking, holding the scooter around.
Basically. That's why he almost broke his ankle.
Oh, really? Shit.
But no, now, man, I mean, I can go up the hills doing 60, 70 kilometers
She'd
an hour.
recommend somebody coming here to get into the whole motorbike
Absolutely.
scooter game. I will never
Absolutely.
do that. Andrew, you ever get a scooter?
No, I don't think so. I'd like to. I don't need to get a scooter because my job or my office
Right.
is literally a block away, and everywhere I go, like to go play basketball or whatever, I just get an Uber. What I am interested in though is like, by the way, Uber's back.
Uber's back.
I saw that.
We should do a party. for
Yeah,
that tonight.
Uber. I liked using Didi for the 2 or 3 weeks that it was gone. Didi was cheaper and it was still good service. Anyway, but motorcycle, I think what I would get is like an old Jeep, like an old
a Willy?
4Runner, a Willys, right? Well, it's a Willy, right? Yeah, Willy.
Yeah.
Willis.
Yeah.
What you talking about, Andrew?
What
What you talking about,
Willis?
Willy? What you talking about, Willy?
Yeah.
Just to get out of the city and be able to travel around, but I can see how you use you use it a lot, so
Right.
it makes sense for you. So I guess not moving from the motorcycle thing. One question that I have, because I don't know what the process is like. What's the process like to get the license to
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. First, guys, if you're gonna come here and get a bike, you just pay for it. You don't
bike?
Yeah, you don't pay for it in cash on monthly payments.
You buy it in
You
cash.
just buy it in cash or on your credit card.
Okay.
Just FYI, it's easier. But back when I did it, all you had to do was go to a licensing place, someplace that would give you a license, and you paid them. And I remember saying, so when do I have to be here for the class? And they're like, no, you just pay us and come back in a week and we'll give you your license. So they basically were lying about you attending class.
Yeah.
And
It's a show.
Yeah.
Well-
Now I will say you do have to go get a reaction exam. So like you have to get eyes, ears. They even sit you down in front of a computer and you have to hit buttons just to make sure your reaction time is good.
Colombian motorbike test. Hit some buttons.
Yeah.
No, that's for both cars but it was like, what?
Like Space Invaders or what?
Yeah, Space-
No, it was like it was a keyboard and then it had extra buttons, like a star and a square and a circle. And
This
Never
is the
had-
driving test.
Never ever had that
What is
in when I went to driving
It's
school.
a driving test.
Yeah.
but
Gotta have
apparently
your motor
though
skills.
now people are actually having to take the class.
Okay.
So I don't know. I won't have to
Hey,
get
it's
a
a
new
fact.
one
It's
for
a
you.
fact. We've got Jason who works with us here. He's been on like 8 weeks of driving class, and he's still only on theory. I'm like, well,
Yeah, you
But Jason's
8 weeks.
local.
Yeah.
local or foreign? What I love, man, about Medellin, what I love about Colombia is the extremes.
Oh.
It's like if you want a
For
country
sure.
of extremes, this is it. This has got. I don't mean like religious, because that's you go other places for that. But here, it's like you move from paying 100,000, 200,000 pesos. I remember back in the day because Dwayne's dad had told me, yeah, you just pay this money, give it to this guy, and you could have your license in 2 weeks, 200,000 pesos. I'm like, no class, no nothing,
Right.
no nothing. Just pay the person. Now, our boy Jason is studying encyclopedias. He got in. He's like 3 weeks in, and he just got in his car for the first time this week after 3 weeks.
Oh my
I
God.
kid you not.
Deep research on books and
I don't know. I don't know what they could possibly studying, but that's a true thing.
That's absolutely horrible.
how to rebuild an engine block.
yeah. You gotta learn how to be a mechanic. Yeah.
When you're in the carretera, you need to fix it.
I went through that though. I remember I had you had to take practical classes and theoretical classes and I remember it was like 6 Saturdays 8 to 12.
Fuck.
And we will get there. You know,
8 to
it was
12?
8 to 12, and it was like straight up. It was like college, like a college class. Like you would get there and they'll be like, okay, so what we talked about last week? What do you have to do with the engine? Blah blah, and check and this and that. And I'm like,
You watch videos, blood flows red on the autopista.
Yeah.
motherfucker, all I know is that I can run some motherfuckers now. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But by the way, I want to acknowledge if to the audience, if you have been listening to a faint sound in the background, that's not on us. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have a ballet studio downstairs, so you may hear some piano playing, some little ballerinas. There's like little girls go there.
I thought it was just. I thought it was just Chris had a weird little.
The
Twitch
teacher's
thing,
hot though.
you know?
The teacher's hot.
I thought he just think,
Keep the old men away from the class, then, please. Don't let them know they're here.
Talk about hot women. Let's talk about your wife,
Juliana.
Juliana's awesome. Well, the times that I've met her, she's an awesome woman. So I think some of our listeners would want to understand, how the heck did you get her?
Man, I have no idea. No.
Yeah.
Listen, I think I'm obviously quite a bit different than the other guys that have come down. In the 10 years I've been around here, I've been out with 2 women.
Okay.
2.
Really?
Yep.
The first one was your mom.
Was my mom?
Yeah.
No.
Like you went out and like
your
walked
mom.
around the time.
What was your mom?
You went out with my mom. Mom, you watch. You got this little hot one here. All right. Yeah.
She thought I was too fat.
She shot you
like,
down.
don't make me- that's right.
She shot you down.
She texted me. She's like, I'm not into BBMs.
That's right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the thing is, my approach was always different. I always wanted to make friends with people. I mean, to me, the best way to meet a quality woman in Medellin is to make friends with somebody and meet their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know that friend is your party friend, she's going to have party friends. You're probably not going to have a long-lasting relationship out of that.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, 10 years ago, Hooters opened here. And so my first 3 months here, I'd go to sit at the bar because all 3 of the bartenders spoke English. Mm-hmm. So I made friends with one of them. I'm actually still friends with all 3, but I made friends with one of them. And 3-4 years later, she introduced me to my wife.
How come you don't introduce me and Andrew to the 3-4 Hooter girls?
They're all married with kids now.
Never mind. All right, let's move on from that real quick.
I'd be a stepdad for a Hooters girl, that's for sure.
Can we put that on a t-shirt? I'd be a stepdad for a Hooters girl. Dang.
I'm friends with the owner. I'll see what he can do.
So the Hooter girl introduced you to Juliana 4 years later.
Yep.
And how long did it take you to tie the knot?
We dated, whatever you want to call it, long distance for about a year. Ironically, right now, 8 years ago, I came to town to meet her family and just spend time together with her and her family.
Yeah.
So 8 years ago, right now, I was here meeting the family.
So yeah, that's interesting. So what were some of the standout like culture clashes that you encountered there?
Oof. Time for me is a big one, being a gringo, not being on time.
Yeah.
But I will say this. The very first date, sort of, that Juliana and I had, we were going to meet in a metro station. So I got there on time, and I was like, she's not going to be here for a half hour.
Yeah.
She showed up 5 minutes early.
Wow.
And I was like,
Oh, Juliana.
I was like, this one might be a keeper.
This is love. This is love. This is love. Yeah.
But that's since changed. But regardless, it was weird just, meeting the family, and especially not speaking Spanish. I had to they'd say something, look at me like I'm supposed to answer. I'd look at Juliana, tell me what she just said.
Yeah.
And that was really hard because Juliana wasn't quick
at translating.
Right, you know, and so it was just like, oh boy, this is 5 minutes in and we've maybe had 2 sentences. But I mean, the culture, that stuff, and her family is awesome. Sorry, honey, they drink like fishes.
Yeah.
So, man, you go out to these parties, you know, there's 20, 30, 40 people on a given Sunday night at the family house.
Sunday night.
Yeah, you go out to the house of the Tias and have dinner and social night.
Yeah.
And man, that was a really big difference for me because, I mean, it was always me, my mom, my sister, and my stepdad.
Yeah.
That was it.
Chilling, yeah.
So, you know, to walk into a family environment where you got 20 to 40 people staring at you, you know, on a constant basis. I was
Are you very close with them now, or what's?
I try to be, but
Has your level of Spanish increased to the point where you're?
Yeah, but they still don't talk to me that much. I mean,
because they still think you're like that guy from back then that doesn't speak probably.
Right. I mean, even now, some days they'll be like, "Oh, he speaks so Spanish," and I'm like, "I've been speaking this way for the last 3 years. Where have you been?"
Yeah.
But it's not a whole lot of individual conversation, but like I've got family members though that are important. I mean, one of my aunts, she's traveled all over the world giving speeches on human rights. I mean, to the point where you guys know, I mean, like we've been a little worried because of how human rights activists disappear here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she just was in Germany giving a speech on minors' right, not minors as in kids, minors.
Yeah, minors, yeah. Chileans.
But, you know, I mean, just some really important people. And so sometimes I have to go to them and, you know, and then they're like, "You speak Spanish now?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I've been speaking Spanish."
So the thing is, a lot of folks, and Andrew gets it on his blog all the time. I've gotten it like once or twice, but I find it funny because it's not my situation that I'm in. But guys will write and they'll be like, "Hey man, I want to come down there to find a wife." I'm like,
I get that a lot.
You get that a lot.
Yeah.
So what is this advice you're giving to these men? And for those of you that are listening that want to come down and find a wife, why don't you just find her like you're a Chilean miner and you find some coal? Like I don't know how they find them. What do you tell these to find?
First, you gotta come play Tejo.
Right. First, come play
some
Tejo.
Tejo, blow some shit up, and then how do they find the wife?
I mean, I tell them what I told you. I mean, I tell them if you're gonna come down here and in 2 weeks think you're gonna meet your wife, you're crazy. You got to come down and make some friends.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what you got to do. But now a lot of guys, even that are here for a long time, they're like, "How do you meet women?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, first go find one that has a job."
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys, they're like, "I don't want a woman with kids or this or that or that." Okay, well, go find somebody that's a professional.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I recommend guys going to Spanish classes, Spanish schools that are teaching English, and go volunteer. Because if you got a woman who is paying to try and improve herself, she's probably not somebody that's going to try and rake you over the coals.
Yeah.
Right. That's good advice.
But most people are like,
They want the easy way.
Right, they do. They want the easy way. So they go after, you know, if a guy's 40 years old, they go after some 18-year-old that's way too hot for them, and then wonder why.
Have you seen that? Like those older guys with the younger girls?
Even when I had my restaurant, it was by far worse. But, just because guys would come in with their dates, and you're just like, "Please get out of my restaurant."
And they ain't even talking. You know, the funniest thing is, what I find quite hilarious, they come to Chris's restaurant, and but that's one of the reasons I used to like going to Chris's restaurant, because we get that table, but because it had like a sidewalk thing, and I just sit beside them and try to like eavesdrop.
Hell yeah, man.
And some of the best things is like you spend a half hour and they don't say anything because the guy doesn't know how to say anything except do some signs.
Or they're on their phone with Google Translate.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
But I've even seen it. I mean, I think here it's more acceptable than in the U.S. to have that big age difference, because I've seen it in Colombians a lot. You see it a lot. Even my brother's girlfriend one time introduced us to one of her friends. And back then, she was like 18. Beautiful girl. We were like, "Holy cow, that girl's so beautiful."
Gorgeous.
And we were at a disco, a club.
Alicia Dorada.
Dorada, yeah. And we were all, you know, dancing stuff and like, "Oh, she's so pretty, blah, blah, blah." And it's so cool that she came out with her dad, but it was her date.
It was her dad. And he came in. I remember he was wearing the Canadian tuxedo.
What is that?
denim top, denim bottom.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Practically
all
denim
denim.
shoes.
It's a Southern thing too.
Yeah. We call it the Canadian tuxedo, and they were like, it was passionate.
Right.
Yeah, it
Like,
was
it was
actual.
passionate.
It was an actual relationship, and they
Yeah.
were.
They got married.
Yeah, they got married. Franco
They got
says
married.
they got married.
I mean, dude. I mean, I'm 15 years older than my wife.
Yeah.
But if I were to back out, if I could pull myself out of it, man, what do you have in common? If you're 40,
Yeah.
what do you honestly have in common with an 18-year-old, or if you're 50 or 60? I like to be able to talk to the person I'm dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And dude, I don't have anything in common with an 18-year-old.
Yo, I would love to hear what people who are watching and listening to this think. And don't knock it till you try it. Don't knock it till you're here. My last girlfriend was 12 years younger than myself also. I'm not into like 18 and 19-year-olds. I tell Andrew this all the time. Like, it's just not, I have nothing to talk about. I don't want to ask them how their geometry test went.
Right.
Or, when are we going downtown to pick up your uniform? Like, I'm not into that. I'm not into that type of crazy shit. But
Only me.
only you? Yeah, only Felipe. But I find, like, I'd like to hear people's comments, not your hater ass shit, but like really what you think. Because here the age difference is a lot bigger, and it's not really like frowned
Taboo,
upon,
yeah.
like
Right.
tabooed back home.
Oh, definitely not.
And I think once you begin to live here, that's something that you'll notice if you come here for the first time, that the age difference is a lot bigger. But I agree. Don't be the guy that's coming here and you can't even speak a word of Spanish, but you're getting an 18-year-old girl from someplace she's obviously there with you, unless that's what you want,
Right.
just to get her out of her economic
Situation.
situation. And that also happens here, and there's a whole other conversation.
And then
that
you
we
have the
can
audacity, or those people have the audacity to like complain about it.
Oh my
Exactly.
God, I love that. She asked me for all this money, or she took me for all this money, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Would you when you were 20, would you pay or would you fuck some 60-year-old woman?
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, or we ask it this way. No, but for real. So this guy's down here. Let's say he's 48, right? You're 48 years old. You met a nice 18-year-old, beautiful girl. Let's think about this for a second.
Or even under 25.
Okay, what are you actually offering, and what is she giving you in return, other than obviously the young, beautiful body? Like, what is going on there? Could you, anywhere else in the world, score an 18-year-old? And ask yourself that.
Right.
And if the answer is no,
Use your noggin.
Use your head.
think about it. Think about it.
You're going to end up being drugged and sleeping for
Listen,
2
George
days.
Clooney could go to butt fuck nowhere and pull a fucking
Anything.
preborn, a sperm. You know what I mean? George Clooney could get anybody in the fucking world he wants. No, for real.
What about the black George Clooney? Blooney.
Blooney.
Looney over here. I ain't no George Clooney. I ain't comparing myself to him. So I know me. I know my answers to certain situations. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, the answer is no.
Right.
You know?
The
But
answer-
no, but seriously, you got to think about it. And I'd love to, yeah.
No, I just want to tell you, just one of the funniest stories I have ever heard in my time here. A gringo married didn't even marry. I think they got like the fiance visa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they got to Miami and they split, to go through immigration. And she cleared customs first and left.
Wow.
She just got into, she
Dang.
had told somebody she was coming,
Picked her up.
ran out, got in the car and drove off.
True story.
Never
Like,
saw
you
her
know
again.
about this person?
Never saw her again. And I was just like,
Did it for the visa.
Wow.
but but
cold. That's cold.
Dude, I can't tell you. I mean, there's another friend of mine, sort of. The guy was almost in his 70s with a 25-year-old going to college. He was paying for all of it. And as soon as she graduated, she broke up with him. And he goes, we were in love. And he was genuinely upset. And I understand it. But really, dude, you're in your 70s. And you think a 25-year-old that you're paying for her
Into
school
you.
and where she lives, and you think that that's legit?
Once again, have you ever paid for another 25-year-old's tuition anywhere in the world? At home, have you, other than your daughter, perhaps? And if you haven't,
Think about it.
think about it. Think about it.
So stupid. Anyway.
So what would be your advice? What's your advice to a dude coming down here. Let's call it he's in his 40s. He's coming down here. Other than like you said, meet some people and go out to be friends. Like what do you think to avoid or what?
Well, you need to be crystal clear on what it is you want.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of guys think they know what they want in a woman.
Yeah.
I had a very specific box of what I thought my wife should be. And my wife checked almost every box.
Right. Okay.
I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying that I was very clear on what I was doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, know what you want. And when you realize that that person is not really what you want, or just because she's 18 and she's perfect, you probably want more than that.
Yeah.
So just be clear and then come down and make some friends. That way you meet the people you really want to be around.
Sweet.
Cha.
Yeah, that's good advice. I guess on the advice tip, Joel, what would your advice be for someone, not necessarily that's coming here to want to get a wife, but is considering the transition from living, whether they're in Europe or Australia or some other country in the United States or Canada, but wants to come down to Medellin and establish a life here? What would be your advice?
Honestly, if I were I'm gonna say this and coming to Colombia, but if I were gonna go live in Lebanon, for example, I want to move to Lebanon. You best be fucking leave. I'm gonna go learn some Arabic, and I'm gonna be as fluent in Arabic as possible in order to communicate with people on a deeper level.
Correct.
And to understand the culture of where I'm at, to understand the interaction that I'm having with the woman when she says something. What does that mean? And I think like the number one thing is like me at least, and I'm not just talking about this from a dating perspective. I was obsessed from the time I was a lot younger with Latin America. My Spanish is not perfect by any means, but I speak it, and I really don't care who says what. And I continue to learn it on a daily basis. Right. And it's opened up a lot of it. I was having this discussion with a Paisa Colombian girl. And I was saying that I used to feel like I almost didn't fit in. I was just this foreigner gringo here dancing around like a clown in a club. Or like I go out with a bunch of people and they're giggling and they're laughing. And I'm just like, hoping they're going to like me because I'm a foreigner.
Right.
And that's a very shallow way to exist. And I think the more Spanish I began to learn, when I can go back and forth and joke with a woman or joke with a group of people and actually get in there, the language changes everything.
Absolutely.
Everything. So take classes before you come here. Get Duolingo. Get here and have a teacher. Like even dancing, strictly like dancing, which is another language. When I got here, man, I was so tired. And I've got some videos on YouTube of like sitting in a corner. The salsa would come on, I'd run and sit down. Bachata would come on, I'd run and sit down. Like, how are you going to come to a country and you want to integrate if you don't have the basic tools to integrate, which are languages? And I took dancing classes for a long time, and so that would be my thing, man. Speak the language.
And where's some fucking deodorant?
Wear deodorant? Yeah, because Joel doesn't wear deodorant.
What would you advise any foreigner?
Learn the language and wear deodorant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say?
Yeah, other than wear deodorant.
Yeah.
I do agree about the language thing, but if you're a young person that wants to come out here, I would say have a plan, because I didn't have a plan.
Absolutely.
And I had to struggle for a few years, and Joel knows, and I think we both had to struggle because we didn't have a plan. We didn't have a plan.
But you never had to take pictures for chicken sandwiches.
Yeah. No, I did not have to take pictures of chicken sandwiches.
He had to sell his body for chicken sandwiches.
Joel took it for him.
Yeah, so I would say have a plan, and what I mean by plan is have a plan to make fucking money. Because that's literally what is... living in Medellin could be so amazing if you have money.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like a foreign currency that's valued more.
And not even a lot of money.
Yeah,
Right.
and you don't need a ton of money. I mean, literally with $1,000 a month, you can have a pretty damn good life here, per month. So if you're making more than that, and if you have a plan, and if you obviously do the extracurricular things that Joel was talking about to integrate with the society, obviously you're going to have more success. But I think that in order to have those extracurricular things, you have to have the plan in place start when you're at home. Don't start when you get here.
Yeah.
If your plan is like, okay, I'm going to start working online, start doing it while you're at home. While you're there, before you make the move, establish some clients, establish some work, get a job where you can telecommute. Start doing it from there. Get a routine, because I'm a big routine guy. Like, I don't know about you, Chris, but like, for example, I love having a routine, being able to wake up in the morning and be like, okay, I'm going to go have breakfast at this spot, get into the office at X hour, go have lunch at an X hour, and then leave and go to the gym or go play basketball. Like, I love that routine. So if you're going to have that here, it's better to have that plan, that job or whatever it is that's making you money, so that you can have that routine and fit into life here.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, it can get pretty tough. Or what we see a lot of, and I'm sure you've seen it a lot too, is that after a few months, people have to go.
Bye.
I think my dad said it best, and I mentioned it. I think it was way up. It's now we're 28 episodes in, but in episode 1 or 2, and I think one of the big things is, and one of the biggest pieces of advice, which will sort of humble you, ground you, and if it hurts to think about it, it's probably worth thinking about, is if you're going to go to a developing nation, a third world nation, whatever the word is, that's not a G7, G8, G9, go offering something.
Right.
Don't go to just take. Don't think because you're a foreigner and you got a few $1,000s in your bank account that people will like
Fall at your knees.
or whatever. What are you offering people that are trying to get out of the position that they're in?
Correct.
Right? And for a lot of people think that, I'm coming down with my bank account, so I'm going to buy women out of their situation. That's not going to get you very far. But I think really, before you come here, what are you coming to teach? What are you coming to change? And if you have that answer, man, like, things eventually work out, man. If you don't have that answer, you can't answer what you're bringing to make these people's lives better.
Right.
You're probably not ready to come yet.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What would you tell anybody that wants to
Honestly,
come out
I like what you said. You need a plan. You can't, unless you're wealthy. If you do not have to work at all for the rest of your life, you have to know what you're doing to come down here. So, just to show up and be like, I'm moving, again, man, you're going to find yourself gone in 6 months because you partied with girls. You probably did quite a bit of cocaine and you just blew through it because you were like, woo, it's fun. Yeah. But dude, a lot of people ask, like you were saying about living on $1,000 a month. Between my wife and I, we split our bills. But dude, I hardly spend more than $2 million a month. I live like I'm poor. I live in a nice place, but I don't spend a lot of cash. I don't go out. I don't.
And $2 million, by the way, is about $700,000, $700 dollars, about $800, right?
No, six.
Less.
It's like $650.
$650.
But I don't spend a lot of money, and because I have to look at it, like my motorcycle was $4,000. I'm like, man, that was 6 months of me living here.
Yeah.
So that's how I approach everything. Is that if I don't want to go back to the United States, not because I hate it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go back home. So I have to look and say, this is the amount of money I've got. Don't just come down and be.
Yeah.
Let's go for the experience. If you're going to do that,
you're going to go back home.
Come down for the experience and go home.
Yeah.
Don't try and tell everybody else in the world how you're living in Colombia and you're doing this.
Living your best life.
Yeah.
My best life.
Right. Fuck you.
Yeah, you ain't living
You're living your best temporary life until you go back home.
Living your best Instagram life until you shut that account down.
You got to go back and work. All right. I guess 2 last questions. One is, where do you get your cigars?
Depends. I either order them from the U.S. and have Mike Mack at Caribbean Shippers deliver them.
Mike Mack.
Or there's a company in Piedecuesta, Santander, in Colombia, called Chica Mocha. Cigarrillos y Tabacos Chica Mocha. You can order them online, and a cigar, a Churchill this big, will run you 7 mil. So a box of 25 is about 175,000 with delivery.
Okay. That's actually pretty cool. We've got a friend that's Cuban, and he goes back and forth a lot, and he brings us back Cubans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I should hook
need
you
to
up.
do that. Yes, you
contact.
should
And
have.
he's a mover. He's got a truck, and he does move.
He moves
moves
things,
stuff. So
all sorts of stuff.
whenever we need, for example, we're going to be moving from this office, we call him up, and he moves it. So he'll bring us Havana Club rum and cigars.
Yes,
and they're actually very, very affordable. I'll hook you up with that.
Please.
Yeah. So last question, Chris. Where can people find you online?
www.tejoinmedellin.com, TripAdvisor, Tejo in Medellin, and Facebook, Tejo in Medellin Tour, and Instagram, Tejo in Medellin.
Yeah. And are you cool with people like hitting you up for questions and stuff, or what do you?
Absolutely.
All
Anything you want to know. I love Tejo, so I want to share it with as many people as possible.
And I think for those of you, if you're watching this video, coming down with a group of friends, group of guys, group of girls, whatever, family trip, whatever it is, I would highly recommend, and I put my name on it, I would highly recommend contacting Chris, setting up like a special night of you and just a bunch of friends and whatever else, and going out learning the game of Tejo. And drinking is allowed. Like, this is not back like
And
in Canada.
encouraged.
And it's encouraged. And you drink, and it's a great pre-party, a great way of just, learning a bit more about Colombian culture and having some fun before a night out on the town. So if you're coming down with your peeps, I would say hit him up and get that organized then.
Do it.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Chris, for being on.
Oh,
It was
thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Been a while.
We'll
been a long time
definitely see you on the Tejo court soon.
Or
Probably
throwing
next
a
month.
digital nomad Tejo on.
I'll come on the cruise ship and set one up.
Yeah.
All right, thank
But
you
no,
for
thanks
coming on, man. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week on the next episode of the Medellin podcast.
Thank you much. Nice.
If you want to see Andrew in a skinny leopard print thong, please be sure to follow us and listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, or any other major podcast platforms. And Andrew, if they want to see your ugly faces, what should they do?
They could see us on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube for show.